Apple and Google have a very different approach to their lineups when compared to competitors. While most companies are deliberate about creating a distinction between what's affordable and what's not, Apple and Google are really good about blurring the lines for reasons that I think others should consider, and it's brand reputation. Seriously, the best way for any company to retain customer loyalty is not to water down the experience you get, regardless of the variant you bought. For example, if you know the Pixel brand is known for photography and timely software updates, you expect it at whatever price the brand is being utilized. To a certain degree, that gives consumers peace of mind knowing that choosing the less expensive iPhone is not really a downgrade if what they lose is features they probably didn't care about and not quality in the experience. See, this is the reason why the Pixel 4a and the iPhone SE are so popular. You can go cheap with the confidence that performance is speedy, software updates are guaranteed, and the camera will be better than most. And I think it was a learning experience for Google. To see the company skip flagships for a year and focus more on the experience is proof of how Apple's iPhone XR and 11 experiment was so popular. Success clearly lies in the mid-range, but the 2020 approach for both companies is actually more interesting than I thought. On one corner, we have the iPhone 12, what Apple will never call its mid-ranger and also the closest kin to the company's Pro lineup like ever, and on the other, we have the Pixel 5, what Google calls its ultimate 5G phone and yet another case of mid-ranger denial. Right now, there's a bit more than a Benjamin standing in between their price tags if you look at the fine print, but the biggest question is, which one is the best investment for you? I'm Jaime Rivera with Pocketnow, and let's dive in. Let's get the obvious out of the way first. I mean, unless you've been living under a rock or this is your first smartphone, part of your decision is already made based on the ecosystem you're currently on. If you love elements like FaceTime, iMessage, your HomePod, or your Apple Watch, then you pretty much are locked into the iPhone, where Android, on the other hand, is a bit less stringent since pretty much every single Google service works on the iPhone, and that even extends to their speakers and smartwatches. Unless you've made a hefty purchase on the Google Play Store that won't follow you to Apple's App Store, switching is pretty much easier on Android. I've actually always been more of a fan of Android's versatility, but iOS 14 is making the competition tough, and it's really not just because of the widgets. I actually wish there were more of those 6 months later, but at least the apps that I care about are now supported. For me, it's actually things like the smarter app library and the smart handoff that happens between products. Cases like how I still struggle to find a better smartwatch than Apple's offering, or how much I love my AirPods Pro is proof to how valuable Apple's ecosystem is in adding value to any iPhone, whether cheap or expensive. Now, if only iOS had smarter services, because Siri is no match for the Google Assistant, and the widgets menu is no match for the Google Feed. If Android is your jam, no phone does it better than Google's own. From snappy performance to getting the latest version of Android on day one, to perks and notifications, to home control on Android 11, to all the recent feature drops that Google has been pushing out lately, the Pixel 5 is a true investment. I only wish it would be supported for longer, as Apple has already proven to be the king of this by even pushing iOS 14 to its 5-year-old iPhone 6s. The hardware story is quite different though. Not sure if you noticed, but this is the first time that I don't compare the best Pixel to a Pro iPhone. Not launching a flagship is kind of a smart move given our current economy, but if we're to be fair, Apple's mid-ranger compares better to modern flagships than the Pixel. It has the same chip from its Pro model, supports all flavors of 5G, has the same connectivity, wireless charging, and IP rating. By contrast, Google decided to pick a mid-range chip to cut cost. It is no slouch at things like flavors of 5G and other forms of connectivity, and if anything, it sweetens the pot in offering double the starting storage than the iPhone for less money, and all while not skimping on wireless charging and water resistance. I wouldn't say that either phone does better at 5G or any other form of wireless connection, but I do prefer the Pixel for endurance. The iPhone 12 is no slouch, but somehow Google can really stretch out its power pack for a tad longer. I'd even say that the Pixel has a better display. They're both gorgeous OLED panels with vibrant color, contrast, and viewing angles, but even if the iPhone offers a brighter display that's up to 1200 nits, that's a hair taller, and is protected by a stronger ceramic shield, the Pixel has no notch, offers always-on options, and has 90 Hz refresh rate, which Apple is still really late to adopt. That said, since the Pixel lacks an earpiece, which is convenient for phone calls in noisy environments,
is the consideration for the needs of other people.
The iPhone is doing a far better job in its dual-firing speakers if one of them is muffled.
Consideration for the needs of other people. Let's be
Now, as for the rest of the build, even with Google's choice for Gorilla Glass 6 at the front, the coated aluminum at the back will do a better job at surviving a fall when compared to Apple's back glass, which is horribly expensive to repair. I'm a bit inclined, though, to Apple's flat finish and its color options, but the Pixel 5 and Sage is quite the looker. The fingerprint scanner at the back is also more useful during this pandemic than Apple's Face ID as we continue to wait for iOS 14.5, but I do wish that Google didn't remove privacy features we had with the Pixel 4, as only the iPhone 12 will hide notifications on the lock screen until your face is detected. The last claim to fame for these phones is photography, and this is the department where we see the most similarities, actually. Both offer an ultra-wide and a primary camera, and enough software processing to make their specifications pretty much irrelevant. Each company is focusing more on giving you the most practical and automated point-and-shoot in your pocket, and I do think that both devices do a comparable job. If the Pixel was first at computational photography, guys, the iPhone has caught up so much that you'll have a hard time telling the difference during the day. From dynamic range to even color reproduction, the results are nearly identical at whichever focal length you pick. Now, there were a few cases where I prefer the iPhone for close-ups, but those were very sporadic. Now, in low light, I think we've gotten to the point where other higher-end phones do a better job than the Pixel in everything but auto astrophotography. Now, I don't think the iPhone 12 does better, especially when you switch cameras, but it's not as if the Pixel is that much better either. Obviously, the further your subject, the lesser the detail on both. They're good, just not great. Now, selfies and portraits are then a mixed bag, where the Pixel does a better job in most scenarios and is able to capture more than one subject every single time. The iPhone struggles with more than one person, but then provides more natural skin tones in my opinion, even if I do prefer the Pixel's crop or the lack thereof in portrait mode. Now, really, video is where the iPhone just obliterates the Pixel. If you're a creator looking for a beat camera or home movies are your jam, the iPhone 12 should be your pick. Even if stabilization is on par, the dynamic range and detail that Apple provides is second to none. Though remember, these are phones, and that only applies when you have enough light in both cases. Now, maybe where that's even more evident is in selfie video, where the iPhone has been slaying most Android phones with 4K at 60 for a second year in a row, while the Pixel is still stuck at 1080p, and then with the most uncomfortable crop for vlogging. To conclude, I agree. This is a very tough call. Software is a matter of taste, where I find Apple's ecosystem to provide more value along with its longer support in software, but then Google provides a more useful approach to services. The iPhone has more variety in the hardware and color options, but then the Pixel might be a more durable device and gives you double the storage for less money. Now, once you throw in the camera into the equation, the Pixel is looking like a better option if you care more about photography, but if you also care about video, the Pixel falls really short when compared to the iPhone. I know, It's hard to pick, and I'm actually going to surprise you by picking the iPhone for the first time ever, and it has to do with commitment more than anything. Google has been fumbling around with its Pixel phone since the days of the Nexus about a decade ago, while Apple is not playing around. I mean, the iPhone is pretty much almost a driving force in smartphones since day one. If you're the kind of person that holds on to a phone for more than a year or wants a good resale value, I think the iPhone is a better pick. Just the simple fact that the chip on this iPhone is on par with Apple's own MacBooks says a lot about performance in the long run. Even if I'd stretch a little extra money for double the storage if I were you, just to guarantee longevity. Let us know which one would you pick in the comments down below, and while you're at it, follow us on social media and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. You can also follow me on my personal handles to see me have a really hard time picking a winner. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like what you saw. I'm Jaime Rivera. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.